All right, Math 9, Linear Block 2, here we go. I haven't been on doing any videos for you as yet. This is the first one. We're going to look at a little bit of budgeting today, so hope you're having a good day. It's April 7th here. Don't know what time you're going to be looking at this. Hope you're having a good day, and let's get rolling with the math. Here we go. Woohoo! Alrighty then, here we go. Okay, I'm going to show you this. Don't get overwhelmed at first. So we're going to talk about creating a budget. And a budget is when you make money and then you want to use that money towards your life, and you want to make sure that you're using it wisely so you have enough money to live, to eat, to pay rent and all that kind of fun stuff, but at the same time have a plan for your future, for savings and paying off debt or some wants, which we'll talk about in a minute. So there's lots of recommendations for budgets. If you go online and check out budgeting, there's tons and tons and tons of people who walk through budgeting with you, but this is just one thing that someone had recommended to me as far as budgeting. They recommend that out of the 100% of the money that you make, they say 50% should go towards needs, 20% should go towards savings and any debt you need to pay off, and 30% should go towards your wants. Now, you could juggle around those a little bit. I've seen one where it's 60, 20, 20. It's just a matter of how you want to go about doing that. But your needs obviously should be the higher percentage. So, what are needs? Here are a list of, well, first of all, if I draw that like a pie chart, this is all the money you make. 50% of it, half of it goes towards your needs, 20% savings, 30% wants. And that adds up to the full pie of 100%. So here are some needs. Now, needs will vary, but for everybody, especially right now, food and groceries are a need. Without food, you die. Rent and mortgage, or something to pay for your housing of where you're going to live, that's usually a need unless you're having troubles on the streets, and then you've got other issues that are coming along. If you have a home or rent, utilities possibly, like heat, water, hydro, electricity, those are needs usually. Car maintenance, car and house insurance, gas, those are needs. Now again, not everyone has a car, so those might be wants depending on your lifestyle, but for most people, especially in Canada, when we live far away from things, cars are needed. You need house insurance in case your house burns down. Again, it's not everyone gets it, but it's advisable to get that. Gas if you have a vehicle. Phone. For the most part, most people have a phone, and it doesn't have to be like a cell phone. It can be just a regular landline phone at home, but usually people have some kind of phone as a need. Wants. So wants would be, now clothing, I put that there because clothing is a need as well. You can't go around naked in the world. That'd be kind of weird, and you'd go to jail. So you need clothing, but again, you don't need all the fancy Gucci and whatever other clothing and I don't know, whatever other people get for as far as fancy clothing. So it is partly a need, but also you don't need frivolous things. Movies. Even though I like movies, those are definitely, I don't need them. If I don't have a movie, I don't die. Gym membership. I don't need to have a gym membership necessarily. I can run outside, or I can walk, or I can do push-ups at home. Candies, definitely not a need. Although I do feel salt and vinegar chips. Now that's a tough one for me. Is that a need or is that a want? I don't know, but I know it's a want. I should avoid it. Restaurants, I don't need to go to a restaurant. I'd like to. It's not a necessity though. I can live without a restaurant. And entertainment, whatever that might be, which those fall under that same category. Savings and debt. Those are like for saving for the future, which we should all do in case of emergencies, especially right now for a lot of people that have lost work and jobs. If they have some savings, they could at least now have that they could work into and use that so they're not going without food and paying their rent. Or you could use it to pay off, say, credit card debt or some loans that you have. So again, it's a choice of what you need to do in your life at that time, but you should have some extra money to deal with those situations. All right, and it's hard. You'll see in a moment. We're going to do an example which is not 100% realistic, but somewhat close to a person's life. So here's an example of some things that are out there. So let's pretend that Mr. McPhee earns $4,200 a month. Okay, Here is a list of expenses. Some of them are fixed and some of them are variable. We'll talk about what that means first of all. So fixed would mean things that are kind of always going to be the same every month in, every month out. And then some that are going to be variable that will change depending on your circumstance, which we'll talk about. I'll highlight that in pink and I'll highlight that in yellow. All right. So first of all, here is a list of things that as I make money during the month, here are things that I spent money on during the month of April. So rent, $1,200. Utilities, which is like my hydro, my gas, water, $150. Phone and internet, $120. Car maintenance, $50. Car insurance, $120. Gas, $150. Restaurants, $140. House insurance, $200. Food, $1,200. Movies, $120. Clothes, $300. And again, there will be other things, but this is just a small list of things that happen in people's lives. So things that are fixed, things that are consistent every month would be rent. Utilities be pretty consistent. Again, those will vary a little bit with how hot it is and how much electricity I use, but pretty close. Phone and internet, that's always the same. Car maintenance would vary. If my car breaks down one month, it might be a month where I'm paying a lot of money, or other months where I pay very little. So that would be variable in my opinion. Again, these are kind of a little bit of fluctuation in your thinking. Car insurance would be fixed. Gas could be variable. Let's say one month I decide to walk or bike to work month. That could be variable. But for some people it could be fixed depending on your nature. Restaurants, definitely variable. If I go to a restaurant every day or no days, that's going to change. House insurance would be fixed. Food, fairly fixed. Fairly fixed. Movies, definitely variable. And clothes, definitely variable. And you could almost argue in a way, even though it's not 100% true, the fixed expenses usually kind of link to needs, not always, and variable expenses can sometimes link to the wants, but not always, because car maintenance, that's variable and that's not a want, that's a necessity. Okay, now to work out the percent, how much, like for example, what percent is going towards my rent, I would take the percent amount, or sorry, the amount, $1,200, and I would divide it by the total of my monthly income. So 1,200 divided by 4,200. Go to my calculator. Hopefully you can see that. I'll check in the video as well. So 1,200 divided by 4,200, and then multiply by 100 to get it into a percent. And I just rounded, so it'll be 28.6-ish percent. I just rounded to one decimal place. Although I don't feel like writing down 8 decimal places. That's just goofy. And so then I would know right now for my life, if this was exactly my life, I'd be spending around 30%-ish, if I round to an easier number, of my month on rent. And if I go through and do all these, so utilities, 150 divided by 4,200 times 100, 3.6%. So around 4% on utilities. Phone and internet, same thing, 2.9%, and so on. I did the whole list. I didn't write everyone out because it's not hard. It's just a lot of labor, right? So take the amount that you're spending, divide it by the total that you have for that particular same time frame of month. There's your income divided by the expenses, works out your percent. And there's the linkage to this unit of percent. Now, the question would be, in this scenario, am I doing a half decent job of my budgeting? Am I doing a kind of a 50, 20, 30? Am I being good to myself? Does this even add up to 4,200? Am I spending more than my monthly? Because that would be bad. Then I'd be going into debt. So what I did was I went through and looked at all my needs. So the needs I went through, and those were rent, utilities, phone, internet, car stuff, gas, house, food, insurance. So these were my needs. So I went through here. These were my needs. All the car stuff I made needs. Gas was needs. Restaurant was not. House insurance was yes. Food was yes. So basically, out of that list, everything was a need except for my restaurants, movies, and clothes, in my opinion. And when I tallied up all of those percentages, it worked out to be 76.2. So around 76, 77% was going towards my needs. All right. Then I did my wants, which in this case was, I'm just going to circle those, was my restaurant, my movies, and my clothes. And that added up to about 13 to 14% was my wants. So the question would be, how much percent do I have left for my needs, or sorry, for my savings and debt? So two ways you could do this. One way would be to add up all of these numbers here, which I could do. I could go through and add up all of those numbers. So I did that, and it worked out to be there was $3,750 was all of my needs and my wants together, divided by 4,200 times 100, and that worked out to be 3,750 divided by 4,200 times times 100, worked out to be 89.3%. The other thing I could do, instead of doing that calculation, I could just add these 2% together. So 76.2 plus 13.3, and if you do that, I don't know why I'm using a calculator, but I am. That's kind of sad. I get 89.5%. And notice this one's a slightly different number than that because here, remember I rounded? So I've kind of got a little bit of round up air, so to speak, but it's pretty close. 89, 90% I'm spending on needs. These are my needs and wants. So the question is, how much do I have left for savings? And remember, there's 100% total of what I'm got money-wise. I can subtract, I'll subtract 89.3%. And I end up with 10.7% I have left over for savings and debt. So now, as a person who might be interested as, am I budgeting wisely? So, do I have 20% for my savings? Well, not quite. So if I could do anything in my life to try to, because savings are pretty important, to get this to 20%, what are some things I'd have to do in my life to change that? I might have to get rid of the restaurants and the movies and the clothes, but then if I get rid of all that, then my wants are down to 0. But in this little pie slice here, the wants will be the hardest things to get rid of in your life, but they're the things that you really don't need. So you need these, and you want savings. I almost think of savings as part of my wants. I want to have savings. So I'm not doing bad. This is not a bad thing that's happening here at all. I have money left over for savings. I'm putting a lot of percentages into my needs because I need to live and my kids have to eat and all that kind of stuff. Again, but if you were to kind of offer any advice here, what's the best you could do? Maybe cut out, do I need to spend $300 in clothes a month? Well, with a family of 3 kids, that might be not a bad thing. But if that's just one person, I don't think I need to spend $300 a month on clothes for one person. Even as a family of 5, that's a little excessive, but kids grow, shoes are not cheap, and kids grow out of shoes, and I don't want my kids to go around barefoot. Okay, hope you're having a good day, and hopefully that video helps. I'm going to post some questions for you to do. The questions are kind of open-ended, and just make sure you look through this video and pause it for a few things, a recap of the 50, 20, 30 kind of budgeting plan, what are needs, what are wants, what are savings, what are debt, and then fixed and variable incomes. And again, this is not hard stuff mathematically. It's labor, like I said, it's work. But people in life sometimes don't even worry about this, and then they get to the end of the month, they don't have enough for their last week of April's food, so they don't think about budgeting wisely and spend all of it on salt and vinegar chips. All right, we'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Hopefully we talk sooner than later. Bye-bye.